Hello and welcome back to the podcast. This is You've Got an Hour with Adam Griffin, unless you thought it was a different show, in which case, sure, it's that show. Just keep listening. Whatever show you think it is, just keep listening, and you're listening, and you're loving it. Let me eat that podcast right up. I have a friend who had some of those Lemmy gummies, and they said that they had terrible, terrible side effects. Anyway, not trying to drag the Kardashians. And also, not trying to bring Rachel McAdams into the episode, because this is not Rachel McAdams on this episode. As the title indicates, this is my friend Jillian Brocki, but she looks honestly just like Rachel McAdams. So this is my little plug for her to play Rachel's sister in something. Today we're going to be talking about something that the podcast takes very seriously, and that's October, not only for Halloween, but also for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Stay up to date with your health, and with that said, let's dial her in and play a game. Gayme. Jillian!
Hey.
My love, I haven't seen you in so long. This is like so wild that it's been so many years. The last time I physically saw you, we were in New York at the same time.
Which I'm coming up on living in New York for 9 years, which doesn't make any sense.
You're carrying the baton for us all.
Yeah, I guess in a way. I mean, now we've got I think we have a few more friends up here, but
Oh, we definitely do, but you're carrying it for me at least.
oh yeah, for sure. What year did you come up here? 2014?
Yeah, 2014. Well, I lived there for a summer between sophomore and junior year just to see if I was even going to like it.
See, that's smart.
No, it was really bold. Well, funny story, when I lived there, I lived in Astoria, and I loved living in Queens because you could see the city view every day, and like when I was upset, I'd go on the roof.
Costco.
Yeah, Costco? Is that what you said?
Yeah. There's a beautiful Costco outdoors that I was just at in Long Island City, and just seeing all of Manhattan, and there was a goose and a lot of pigeons.
Yeah, there are a lot of pigeons. I was thinking more of like the Rockaways vibe, but yeah, love that too. But there was literally the person that I lived with didn't scare me off from living there, but made me question some things because there were 5 of us in the apartment. It was a 1-bedroom.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there was literally a moment where her property manager came up and like knocked on the door and did like a wellness check or whatever, because they were like, you're not allowed to have this many people in the apartment. So like 2 of them got kicked out. I got to stay somehow. She like lied and said I was her cousin, but she was so scared to upset the manager again that there was a pilot light that went out on her oven, and we were being like gas chambered out of the apartment. And I was like, she really just wants this money and for us to bounce. Like,
oh my God.
so that was interesting. That was a really interesting time. But, you know, lived there after.
But that didn't scare you off. You came back.
It didn't scare me off, and it does explain sort of what was wrong with my brain these days. So there we go with that.
Right. Exactly.
You said, yeah, no, been waiting for that hook. Now we know.
But, it's like the people who, like the Shit Town podcast, the guy who was mercury poisoning himself, and he didn't realize it because he would work on old clocks.
Wait, is that bad? Because that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing right now is I sell clocks. No.
Oh.
No, I can't keep time to save my life. Speaking of, I guess we'll get to the game here. So
Yeah.
I thought today's topic is a little heavier, or it could be heavy. So I want to start off with like, let's think about vacation packages. Let's like go Price is Right level and have something fun to do. So if you were to win a vacation outright right now, all expenses paid, I want to start with that, and then we'll get into the specifics of it a little bit more. But like, if you could win a vacation anywhere, what's calling to you right now?
Yeah. See, I'm always torn about this because
Okay.
more often than not, you want to probably like beach it up. But there's also so much of the world that I have never experienced that I'd still, some like European excursion also sounds cool.
Well, where have you been? Where have you been outside of the U.S.?
I went to Costa Rica.
Ooh, zip lining.
Well, yes, but that was the last day. But of course, we were there as a mission trip, and
Okay,
we
yes. All right.
went to a
Mhm.
orphanage. And we,
Okay, all right, yeah. Lovely orphans, wonderful orphans.
shout
The
out.
sun will come out tomorrow. Red flag, not appropriate, Adam.
Go to hell.
In a handbasket real quick over here. Okay, I'm dragging everyone with me.
Yeah, I know. And then in college, the infamous group of gals from our Meisner class?
Meisner class is a type of training in which two humans repeat back and forth with each other what they've said and sort of discern what emotional capability they're witnessing before them. And it causes you to escalate. It's sort of what neurodivergents call hell on earth. And that would be why I was so fucking good at it. Top of my class, clearly. Anyway, that was a joke. If you can't read my cadence, this is just my tone. And I know that it can be difficult to read because I am a fucking robot. Anyway, we're going to be talking about people from a time that is called college. That's where Jillian and I know each other from. Spoiler alert. But anyone that we reference that isn't in the room with us, their name will be redacted by using the word beep instead. Or maybe 2 beeps, beep. That was 2 beeps, if you can count. Just for shits and giggles. So try to keep up with the story if you can. And if you can't, maybe you need to go to Meisner class and to learn how to read. I was going to say read behavior, but just learn how to read. Because beep is pretty easy to understand by me, basic robot that I am. Here's the story.
Meisner class went to England with
Beep,
Bill, our teacher, and Jeff,
beep,
costume designer, and
that sounded like such an epic trip.
we quote studied abroad.
I honestly, I'm sad I missed out on that because it was like some of my favorites.
Perfect combination to that freaking group of people. You would have done
because it sounded like it kind of was like 2 different separate groups who kind of mingled during it, but like I would like to think I would have bridged the gap, but I also probably would have been a loner if we're being really honest.
I think you would have honestly bridged a lot. You would have been the person in like the spa pool when Redacted was making Redacted cry.
Oh my.
And then you would have been the person in the spa pool, like British accent, just making fun of them and like making it all so much better.
Oh, thanks. Now, when you did the redacted, you covered your mouth, and I thought you were redacting COVID as if, like, COVID never happened, and I loved that journey for me, but you meant an actual human was doing something demonstrative.
Yes,
so
I didn't say either of the names of the...
No, that was smart. That was smart. I would have probably bleeped it out, but knowing me, it's good that you did it anyway, because the mercury in the clocks. Okay, so I actually might have to introduce you not as Rachel McAdams. I might have to introduce you as what's the father's name in Beauty and the Beast?
Crazy old Maurice.
Maurice.
Crazy old Maurice.
I love that man. Okay, so now you don't have to go on a trip with him, but like, where are you going on a vacation? Where are you feeling?
In fact, I think at the end of the day, especially given the last 5 years that I have gone through, something freaking tropical and warm and just free as hell sounds really good.
Do you want to do like a staycation where it's all inclusive, or is it like a bounce around trip? I don't want to say a cruise, but like it could be a cruise vibe. No judgment.
Yeah, not a cruise, but I'm also very bad at traveling. I'm not used to it. So I think that I would need to be led a bit. So either I'm going to go with someone who's going to know the ropes and know how to set that up, or I'm going to get like a package to like a resort or something, because at least I'm contained, because I can get lost like that. If I'm not like contained to something, then I won't be able to survive.
Now, why are you bad at traveling? Is it like, do you get overwhelmed, or do you need more alone time, or like what's the factor here that's making you a bad traveler?
Well, I think literally just like not having a compass like internally, like I wouldn't know where to go. Like even when I look on like a map, or I have a globe. You see my globe?
You literally are sitting in front of a globe, so you're throwing me for a loop here.
Well, that's new, brand new. I've been wanting that for years, and it just really makes...
You got to get in touch with your map giving. You're like, I got to get a globe. This is where I was wrong.
Right. Oh, yeah, totally. And I'm like, hold on, let me find that. Oh, I did not know,
Oh, this is a whole continent. Who knew?
No, like, not even...
Oh, the world is round. I didn't know. This is Jillian, my flat earther friend.
I know. I will say, okay, listen, I will say the only thing I'm going to say, and then I'll move on. Again, from having a globe, when the Sarah Palin thing happened all these years ago, when
oh my gosh,
from my house, and I was like, yeah, what an idiot. Like, that's stupid. And then I got a globe and I was like, oh my God, they really are really close together. Like, I didn't realize that like Alaska and Russia are that close together.
We didn't learn anything in
Yeah.
grade school. This is really a tangent. And speaking of globes and not being a flat earth, you know how the moon comes separately from the sun and they're not revolving around us. Okay, basics, great. So the other day was a super moon, right? And whatever the fuck that means is great, but I don't understand it because literally it said the peak time for the super moon was 11:26 a.m. I'm sorry, moon is nighttime, sun is daytime. When did that change? Is that different now? I'm really
Yeah, none
confused.
of it, all of
Okay,
it's made up, I think.
like what? The moon isn't real. We are really.
I'm really coming out a certain way all of a sudden.
No, no, no. I'm pushing you that way, and I love it. Do go down this trajectory, please. No, but does that make any sense to you? Because that blew my mind. I was like 11:26
Yeah.
a.m.
Huh.
peak for the moon.
Yeah, see,
What?
we didn't learn anything.
No, I don't understand it. Okay, I love the tropical idea. I honestly, here's where I'm at with this, because I'm going to tell you my 2 cents on this, because I actually do think we should
Oh,
travel sometime. I think we would
yeah.
have a blast. Oh, she scrunched up her whole face.
Yeah.
She's
No,
not
no, no. This is,
excited.
oh, yeah. That's like, yeah.
Oh, that's like a yes? Oh, okay. All right. I was like,
Oh,
humble me real quick. You're
yeah.
like, I don't want to be around you for that long, Adam. So I've never done one of those staycations where it's all inclusive, and I would really like
Yeah,
to
kind of
try that.
like low budget, like wannabe White Lotus for us. That could be fun. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm down for the actual White Lotus too. I mean, if it's paid for, I of course would love that. I'd like to be like rubbing elbows with the rich people and sort of like pissing them off a little here and there, like a little jabby jabby, a little humble the
That's
humble.
how I
I
feel at
like
my
that.
day job, which is like a fine dining restaurant. So all these rich snob people and some celebrity-esque people have come on through. Wendy Williams was there 2 days ago.
Oh, how is she? How does
She's
she
looking
look right
okay. I
now?
didn't see her, but I was told by my servant friend, and apparently she's. But the time
Oh,
before
really?
that, she tipped
Dang
well.
it.
So, you know what I mean?
Well, she wasn't doing super well the past year or three. I mean, she had like what was considered alcoholic induced dementia. So I hope that I'm glad to hear that she's out of
Yeah.
that center because in the documentary this year, she was still in the center. So yeah, so that's some hot spillage there. I hope she's okay. I
She's
love
great.
Wendy.
Yeah.
Can we talk? I loved her. So now we'll take a tangent here because that sounds like an ideal vacation. And I have you ever done a cruise?
Well, the England trip that we did coming back was Queen Mary.
True.
And then I took my aunt's place on a cruise that was supposed to be for her birthday, but she fell. And
Oh,
so they replaced her with me, my cousins, and my mom. So then I had to go on this cruise with like my 40-year-old cousins and my mother. And it was like batshit insane. And then I tried to manage keeping up with my mother, two teenage boys, and I threw up on the Lido deck and I had to be wheeled out on a wheelchair to my room.
okay. Well, that isn't at all. When you said she conveniently got injured beforehand, I was like, this is giving understudy vibes. Like you really wanted the trip, but now, given all of these
No,
circumstances, no, you
I did not.
didn't.
I did not.
No. Okay. All right then. No black swan for you on that trip. Yeah, that's not great. What was that, like a carnival or what
Yeah.
was that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
carnival's not the vibe. I don't know. I
Carnival's
know it's
messy.
like cheap, but it's
Carnival is messy.
it's cheap for a reason. Yeah, I mean, Carnival's literally the one that remember when like there was like that stalled out boat that the shit was
Uh-huh.
coming down the walls.
Oh yeah.
We had a friend that we went to school with that worked on that ship. Do you
Oh,
know that?
beep,
Grace
beep.
McGee worked on it.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she was on it during that.
Yeah. That's,
And she was like, they were passing out bag lunches as like crew members because they couldn't do the show. They would have to pass
oh
out
my,
bag lunches
yeah.
to all this shitstorm
Oh my God.
driven rooms. And I'm like, when I watch Triangle of Sadness now, I use that as my frame of reference because I'm a broke triangle. I'm not that like Bermuda Triangle vibe. So, I also, there was no Bermuda Triangle on that movie. So that's wrong too.
I will say we were in the Bahamas for like a total of 1 hour because my cousins had already like done the cruise. So I was like, cool, I'm in the Bahamas. This is new for me. There for an hour. Left.
What?
Went to a Senior Frogs. and then got back on the boat.
Please be serious. You have to go back. The Bahamas are amazing.
I will never know until I go back, I guess. Yeah. So.
I highly recommend if you do go to that area, you got to also go to Jamaica. Jamaica in general is like one of my favorite places I've ever been, but
Oh.
there's a place called Hell. Hell is located in the Cayman Islands. We double checked on Jillian's globe. It's not in Jamaica, as my non-diagnosed ADHD sort of alluded to. And it's these like really interesting rock formations. They explain it to you when you're there, and I'm not a tour guide, so I have no fucking clue what it was, but it was like all these like sharp things. It looks like in like a cartoon movie if you fell on something, you know, those spike things.
Oh.
It's like that to a T. But you take pictures in front of it, and they've made it like really kitschy and cute, where it's like you take a picture, you know, the face and the whole things that you do at state fairs. It's like that, but with the devil's face and like. My family's very religious, but they loved it. They were like, "This is so funny," and like we got shirts and like shot glasses that were like, "I survived hell." Yeah, I was in hell.
Funny. I love that. Like the whole town is like, we're pushing this up. This is our thing.
We're leaning in, and like, you know, whoever decided to make it that, they've just run with it. You know, you could just be like, "Hey, it's interesting rock formations. It doesn't have to be hell." Like somebody went there, and the joke just keeps giving.
Right. I love that. Yes.
There needs to be a sitcom set there. Like, wouldn't that be a great sitcom?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's just think real quickly, like, okay, I'm having this circumstance. Now I'm going to offset it with this vacation.
Okay.
For a breakup, where are you going?
Somewhere where I can look hot.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I was thinking somewhere I could cry. So that's better. I like that more. Who are you going with?
Girls trip Cancun. Girls trip Cancun.
Yes. Oh, that's fun. Okay, yeah, I'll do girls trip Puerto Vallarta. I'll do that.
Okay. Where's that?
That'll be my vibe. We both picked Mexico.
Okay. See, gotta look at my globe. Hold on.
Get your globe out. Okay, so if you just lost a job, where are you going on vacation?
I'm going to the Rockaways because I ain't got no money.
Smart. Okay, yeah, we're doing a day beach trip.
Yeah.
Recentering. Yeah, no, we're definitely crying at that one. That's for sure. Okay, you got a new job and you're celebrating.
Ooh, okay, so I'm confident in myself, you know. Let's see. Ooh, I would go to like, I haven't been to San Francisco. I would like do like a cross country. I would go visit.
Oh, good. I'll meet you there.
I would go.
Yeah, come see me.
There we go.
Oh, that would be so fun. And what the job will be, and we're manifesting this, is that you're playing Rachel McAdams' sister.
There we go.
In something.
There we go. When I cry, that's when I look the most like her, just so you know.
The rest of the interview is just me trying now to make her cry so I can see Rachel McAdams. Kidding. This is a podcast. You can only hear us, not see us. See how I'm learning? I know the difference between sight and hearing. Tell my optometrist. They still think I have glaucoma. Okay, back to it. You know what? I was going to say that, and it's in the back of my mind, but I didn't want you to think that I think about you crying. Because that's not really positive. So now you're in a new relationship. Where are you going on vacation?
Definitely, like, okay, see, it's because I'm poor that I don't even have imaginations of like grandeur.
Okay, you're dating someone rich and you're on vacation.
Okay, here we go. Yes, thank you. Okay, that I'm definitely thinking like some Spain stuff.
Oh yes, Europe. Give me some romance.
I need to have some pasta. I need to have really good bread.
Oh yes. I don't like to eat when I'm in a relationship. I like to wither away. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to go to Don Quixote's spaces and just blow away with the windmills. So we're both in Europe though. We're in Europe. So for a bachelorette, now these can go great or not so great with a bachelorette, but if you could pick a bachelorette, where would you go?
See, I'm not like a big drinker and I'm way more about
love you for that
group fun. Like I want to have group fun. I don't want to have to take care of my friend who's drunk at like let's say it's my bachelor, you know what I mean? So I'm like, no to the big Vegas thing. Like that wouldn't be my jam.
So Reno, Jersey City,
right?
We're out on the boardwalk.
I would think more like lake house thing when he got married.
Oh,
when she got married, her bachelorette was at like a beach house, and that was just like perfect vibes for me. Maybe
that's really cute.
That had a little bit more like town life. That way you could go like to a bar and still go back to the lake house. But yeah, like town like lake house vibe for me.
I love that. I think the older I get, the more I don't want a bachelorette.
Yeah. I've been hearing a lot more people lately do it and like not have one and not even have like a wedding party essentially. And for me,
yes,
I have to feel like I have friends personally. Like for me, I'm gonna have to feel like I have humans in my life that are supporting
Look, I totally appreciate that. Love that honesty.
me.
Yeah, and now I'm gonna personally be offended if I'm not invited to this
Right.
bachelorette in the
Well,
middle of
that's
the
what I
lake.
also
So,
love is that these days I just feel like they've really become like, yeah, I don't give a crap if it's not like all girls. Like I'm having my people who are my friends. Like probably
be
would be at my bachelorette or something. Like
oh yeah, what is he? Where is he now? Is he in Scotland still?
I think Ireland. Yeah, he's Irish. Cork.
Are those different countries? No, I'm just kidding.
Are
Get your globe out.
they countries? Because let me tell you, I don't really understand the UK.
Oh, I don't think anyone does
Okay,
unless
okay.
you live there, and then I think it's still confusing because it's like, is Ireland seceding? Are they not? Half of it is its own thing, but
Right.
then the other half's not, and it's like, but they're both still Ireland, and it's like, what?
Yes, I'm very, yeah, no idea. But yeah, I think he's over there. He actually might be maybe more mainland. Again, I don't fully understand where he's at, but yeah, he's over there.
He's like a full-blown citizen, right?
I think he's got dual, yeah, I think so. Dual citizenship.
Dual is a weird word because it's like doula. Well, both about birthing, so that's
Yeah.
interesting. You got doula for
Dual.
a literal birth, and then dual for
Yeah.
like birthright.
Right.
Interesting.
Huh.
Discovery, put that on the globe. Okay, well that was fun. All right, let's keep going.
Yeah.
And of course we get a warning that my cheap ass Zoom is going to break off on us. It's going to break up. So now we're going to need to go on that vacation
Okay.
to the Rockaways.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've got circumstances on your trip. Let's think about on your trip that you're on, how are you going to combat the factor before you? Like, okay, it's raining. What are you going to do on the trip while it's raining? I hate when you go to like a theme park and it rains and everybody's hiding.
Good question. You want to be electrocuted, obviously.
Oh, well, that too. Yeah, I wasn't thinking of it from a practical standpoint. Thank you for humbling me. I was thinking like, hey, it's a free water ride. Like, yay
Oh
me.
yeah. No, I think it's the danger aspect for a water park, but that's okay. Maybe.
Yep, that's true. That's true. And the urine. Yeah, so what would you do in the middle of like this whole rainstorm situation? How do you like still have a good vacay off of
I would
that?
honestly piss and moan for a bit, for sure. I would be annoyed.
Okay. Healthy, healthy. Get it out, release it.
Really get it out. I'd be like, I want a refund. F this. I want to do this all over again. But yeah, and then after that, oh, it's hard to say. I guess in theory, you'd have to just, it depends on who you're with. Am I with my hot lover in a bungalow over the, water in Fiji? I guess we're gonna hang out together, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that actually
Anywhere.
sounds like a win-win
That
there.
sounds fine. Yeah. And then, if I'm with the gals at the lake, we're inside, we're drinking, we're making fucking chips and dip and having a lingerie fashion show, I guess. You know what I mean?
Oh, fine. Okay, I'm lame. I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna watch Miss Congeniality and
Oh
eat
no,
a
but
lot
that's
of
good.
food.
That would be on in the background for sure, for sure. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, definitely on always. Because that 1 in a million, I'm in the wrong key,
Oh
but when
God.
they're like in that Statue of Liberty,
Ashes.
that is
Those dresses are honestly gorgeous. I love the design for that movie.
slay, major slay. I don't know where they recorded it, and I'm so glad they got William Shatner's Republican ass in there
I
doing some stuff with these queer icons. That was so the scene. I
the
loved
real one
that.
for that.
Okay, well, I was gonna do the same thing with like what would you do during snowstorm or a major storm, but all of those are the same freaking thing. So,
Yeah,
here's a question for you. When you're on a vacation, how do you fix the whole friends are fighting thing? We kind of touched on that for a
yeah.
second. I think that's a great way to kind of end out this
Yeah.
sort of segment.
It's honestly funny because, I definitely look back on trips like that and I think I have such fresh eyes about that stuff now. And honestly, considering where I've been in the last few years in terms of just like my emotional life, part of me is just like, sure, like let them have it out. But at the end of the day, like we're getting over this and we're going to have fun. So, like, especially because just like my view of the world has changed so much. I don't have time for you guys to be squabbling on our vacation. We need to get over it and we need to go have fun, talk it out, have the conversation, and like, let's go. That's what I want to say I would potentially be doing. But I'd also probably be like, oh my God, are you serious? No, she didn't. Oh my God, yeah, no, that.
Like getting right in the middle of it, being so
Oh my
messy.
God, no, are you? No, yeah, no, that's what I heard. Yeah, no, like I do that a little. I can't help it.
I mean, it is like dinner and a show. You're on vacation. It's like, hey, I mean, if you guys are fighting and it doesn't involve me, I want to know all of this.
Right,
I
exactly.
want to know the ins and outs, so long as I'm not fueling it.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think I feel things. I'm very good at towing the line, which can also be something that I feel like makes me look like I'm like two-faced, which is not the intention, but I definitely just try to hear out a lot of, even at my job right now, there's
Yeah, mediating.
two other people are, I'm like, I'm just trying to hear you both out. And like, I don't actually give a shit, at least in cases of my job, but like one barista versus the other, I'm like, y'all have to figure this out. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm too old for this.
But other than that, yeah, I feel like I just try to hear out.
No, I know that you're good at that. I know you're a good mediator like that. I don't see you as hyping people up in the wrong way. Now, have I ever been accused of that? Probably. Probably. I'm like, if I'm closer with one of the people, I'm a little stubborn in the way that like I can't see the wrong in my
Oh
friend,
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like I'll bullhorn all the way through for that person. I'm like,
That's awesome. That's cool.
let's take them down. And it's like, no, you have to really bring that down a notch because
Yeah.
like the other person could be right. Sometimes you're also wrong. Plot twist, Adam, plot twist.
Right. I know, and that's true. And that's still a good quality to have too. I feel like it's all in moderation.
So level-headed, Miss Jillian. I love it. Yes. Okay, so we're gonna take a break here. I'm gonna download this, and then we're gonna get the upload on everything that has been going on with you and telling people to screen themselves, which
Yeah.
is really important for breast. I just said breast cunst.
Breast,
Excuse me,
breast.
breast. Can you tell my gay is coming out? I'm like, how do you say what is breast followed with breast what? Breast screening and breast cancer awareness month. Okay, we'll be right back. I think that's about as good a stopping point as we're going to get to. Here in the interim, let's hear a few words from my mother.
Hey everybody, this is Linda LaFaye and I've got something to say. Oh, I have a good idea for you today. My husband and I used to play a game where we come up with the idea a day, so we were trying to, be rich. Now, men, you don't like to sweep, and probably that's why the air blower thing was invented for the lawn and the garage and wherever else you all want to use that thing because you don't want to sweep. In my garage, my husband uses it, and bless him, I'm happy that he will, but you better have the door shut and not plan to go outside, because when he is out there, that stuff, that dirt, that dust, that leaves, that everything that's in the garage, dog food, little pieces, whatever's out there, it is stirred up all the way to windows and to the door. And I'm thinking, baby, if you just swept the floor, it would stay down low. What you have done is stirred it up. And do you think he is going to dust the wall or the door, clean the door? No. But am I going to say anything? I never have, and here I am saying it. So, baby, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry, and I do thank you, and please don't stop helping me. But this has made me think of my idea. I was drying my hair the other day, and I was turning my head upside down because it didn't feel like I had the vertigos. And when I flipped back up, I was thinking, hey, what I noticed was that hair dryer was blowing some of that hair that had fallen out of my head. It had blown it across the floor in the bathroom. So I'm thinking, hey, I thought, oh, you men think you got something on us, but we got the power of the hair dryer and we can hit that bathroom. Yeah, so next time when you're down there and you turn your head upside down and you're looking at your floor and you're saying to yourself, self, there is some hair down there. You just take that hair dryer and you blow it to a corner. And don't forget to go get the broom and the dustpan and get that up, and you'll be feeling so good about your floor. Now, I must admit, it doesn't work on the mats. At least it didn't in my little bathroom. But hey, it was better than it was. So, a little bit of cleaning all along the way makes yourself have a happier home. You're welcome.
That was my mom, and here's my dad.
What your mom said, I haven't heard it yet, but great job, Linda. I'm sure it was great.
Yay, we love a family affair. Now, back to the podcast. Oh, you'd think I'd learn the buttons quicker than this, but nope, I don't. I don't. Okay, so before we do the topic, I always have this reoccurring segment that I do with everyone where I ask, What is the noise that you hear if you're backing out of a situation, if you're in an awkward conversation and you wish it would end? What's the noise?
I think I'm just hearing like a
I loved it because it was a literal backing up noise, but it sounded like Roz from Monsters
exactly.
Inc.
Like I think it's pretty literal.
No, that was good because I just kept hearing like Mike Wazowski. I
Yeah,
just like,
I do that. I do that voice.
do you? Let me hear it.
Wazowski. Hold on.
Oh, well, that's pretty good. Oh, you said, let me get the water. Let me refresh.
Your paperwork. Okay, so
Wait, I have a weird request. Can you say Miranda in that voice? I'd like to hear you say Miranda.
Miranda. Who's Miranda?
Oh my God, it sounds like Steve a little bit from Sex and the City. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Miranda.
I can't handle it. It's too good. All right, and now we're getting super serious. Hey, before we launch in, we're talking about medical stuff. I don't want anyone coming to this with the impression that we're going to be giving medical advice. We're not. This is totally Jillian's personal journey. Just as much as any one person's journey goes, she can only advocate and speak on her behalf. And it's an interesting story. We will let it unravel in real time and breaking down, how she picked a surgeon. And those things are very important for anyone that's considering things medically. But you're your own advocate and you've got to do your story your own way. I will be upfront and give you the detailing that she did have a double mastectomy. We will talk about that later, but I want to spell it up front in case that helps someone that is trying to decide between a lumpectomy or a mastectomy or a double mastectomy. This is where her journey goes, and it doesn't mean that yours is right or wrong, hers is right or wrong. It's what works for her, and that's always the right decision. So we'll get into why she chose that, and that's enough of a teaser for where we're headed with the conversation. But I wanted to just give a quick breakdown in case anyone's coming here for maybe support in that sector from our own community here, right? Okay, cool. Let's launch into the conversation completely unedited right from the jump of where we start. But I would like to celebrate the fact that you've been in remission for quite a while now. Can you tell us how long you've been in remission?
Well, I don't even know if people use that term until they're 5 years out.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you for correcting me because I have no idea.
I mean, I don't know very much in terms of the wording of a lot of things myself. So it's a whole different world. But I know that in November, I'll say, because in November is when I had my actual surgery. So from the day that they removed all of my stuff, that's kind of the day I count as like counting from that point in time. So in that point, it'll be 5 years, which by that point, yeah, crazy, right? This November. But by that point is when you're like technically in DE, NED.
You're in DE, the Delaware Caucus, right?
Hold on. All right, here we go. So after at the 5 year mark is when you're technically labeled in ED, which is no evidence of disease. So that I think is when people start using the phrase like, I'm in remission because I've gone 5 years and I'm still in ED, which is crazy because it's like, well, yeah, so these last 5 years, what am I calling that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also I'm being really honest, I don't love the term NED because I'm thinking like you are in erectile dysfunction. So that's an interesting, gotta flip the switch on that.
Right.
All right. Interesting.
I'm Ned.
But yay, that's huge. That's a major celebration. I'm so excited. So walk us back. You're very young. How did you find out? Walk me through that process.
I was 27. This was in 2019. Honestly, my boyfriend we were laying around one day watching television and, his hand was resting on my boob, you know what I mean? Just, we're together for 4 years at this point. That's just daily life. And he said that he felt something there and he was like, whoa, what was that? And I was like, what? And so he was honestly the one, and he loves to say that, he saved my life because he was the one to push me to like find out what that was. His mother had breast cancer when he was a child, so he has a lot more kind of understanding about a lot of that stuff. And even at his school, I will say that when he was a kid, they actually had like a day where they passed around this like ball thing that is supposed to like feel like a tumor, and then I'm like, yeah, I never did that. Never did that in my childhood.
No.
So good for them. Florida education back then,
Interesting.
back then.
Yeah, back then.
Yeah, so a few, I'm sure enough time went by where I finally was like, well, I do need to go to the gynecologist anyway, type of thing. So while I was there, I got just like a topical, breast exam. They didn't think anything of it, but they still gave me a referral to go then get an ultrasound, which is kind of like the next step in the process if you were to feel something, especially being my age, because they definitely were not going to give me a mammogram, just so you know, like that. And that's a red flag with a lot of, just the way we're dealing with breast cancer in America and like in the healthcare system. Like, you cannot get a mammogram until you're 40. Like, they will not like let you, essentially, unless you are like, here is a problem. So, all of these young cancer cases that are popping up, it's like we should probably push that age down for like yearly recommended mammograms and stuff. But anyway, so I got the ultrasound. They were still like fishy. That's weird. Came back and I got a biopsy, and they took the little bit of cells or whatever out of the thing. And then I went and saw Joker with my boyfriend in the theaters, and I was like,
When you were in Joker, were you feeling weird, like you had a premonition, or you were feeling sick?
I think I just associate Joker now with like the night of my life changing forever. And so I'm like, I will F that movie. You know what I mean? Like, because I honestly think I thought the movie was fine, but I think now I look back and I'm like, yeah, fuck that movie. But no, it's not Joker's fault. I realize.
So you were having that feeling though, and then did they call after the movie or the next day, or when did that phone call?
No, after the movie, to paint a picture, we were in Williamsburg. We had just eaten at Martha's like country, bakery or whatever.
Wait, like Martha Stewart?
No. There's like a branded like bakery shop.
Oh, okay. All right.
I forget that you're not necessarily like a Brooklyn guy.
No, I never ever got into Brooklyn. I would tap my foot in and tap it right on out. I didn't feel cool enough.
But okay, so to paint a picture for anyone else who might be knowing the Brooklyn layout, I was in like on Bedford, and my apartment is all the way in Bushwick, Bed-Stuy, which is essentially a 15-minute walk, and then like 6 train stops away. And when I got the call on Bedford, I was running on such adrenaline that we walked that whole way home instead of like getting a car or like taking the train 6 stops. And I am not a walker like that. I am not someone who walks for that long at a time, but I literally couldn't stop walking. So that is a lesson on anxiety and adrenaline, because I definitely never felt anything like that before. Luckily, I had my boyfriend with me, and like he totally got it. Like I was standing on the corner in in Brooklyn crying, and then we'd hug, and we'd both be in shock, and we'd both be like, and then we would just walk, and then it would happen again, and then we just kept walking, and so then we eventually just walked home. I had to go to work the next morning.
You didn't call out?
I didn't call out because I had originally called out to get the biopsy and stuff like that, And so like I was just feeling like bad. Granted, the next day I went to work and I was a mess. And luckily for me, I had literally gotten like an email, a phone call from the breast surgeon who they had set me up with that day, being like, we've got an opening. Can you come in today? And I was like, yeah. So I did leave my job, and they did understand, and they were very understanding and very supportive. And I think that I owe that to being young, because I don't think that would have happened for me if I were 40 or something. I think the fact that they saw on my file, this girl's 27, get her in. Like the thing about it all is that when you do have it at a young age, like everyone around you in the medical care business is like, our little flower. And it makes you feel very comforted, but also very aware that like, oh, it's because I'm young. Because the moment I'm going to age out of this, y'all are really not probably going to care as much because it's going to be more normal or whatever. I don't know. Maybe that's my stigma with it or not. But biopsy is when they actually took a little bit of the like cells and they sent that away. And I guess that's for them. That was when for sure they could see that I had inductive carcinoma. Sometimes I wonder about my like breast cancer ambassador, you know what I mean? Like how good I am at being one, because I don't know basic things. But that's part of me trying to like live a normal life and not care about like what the name of my breast cancer is, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, but as your friend, I don't think you need to have the pressure of being an ambassador. You're just talking about your story.
that's true.
And you sharing your story makes you the best ambassador you can be. You don't have to know all the things. I think cancer is like life, it's very messy. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and there's trauma and there's other things going on surrounding it. You don't have to know all the facts in order to be an advocate for getting screened or anything like that. Like you even just saying, hey, like at earlier than 40, you can't get a mammogram and that's a problem is enough advocacy, I think, on your end. So,
Yeah.
from a logistic standpoint, though, do you know what stage you had?
Yes, I did have stage 1, but that was actually something that was still not able to be found out like in that point, I think right away. Like technically they weren't going to know that until they took it out. So everyone was kind of like softly saying I was stage 1 simply because of the size and the fact that it was like in whatever like the inductive I know I'm saying the wrong word, but my bad. The carcinoma, like the style that it was, like they knew at least from that it was like probably stage 1. As a technicality, I guess they don't really know until they come in and do the surgery. And so I guess in theory, like we could have all assumed it was probably stage 1 and then they would have gotten it out. And for some reason it'd been like, oh, this is a rare stage 2.5 or something. So luckily that's not what happened.
Yeah, that's so interesting because you don't think about them deciding that or determining that until after. That's
Right.
really interesting.
I know.
So they moved really fast. It sounds like you got the phone call and then the next day you were in surgery.
So that's what I thought was going to happen.
Okay.
That's not how things work, because I literally didn't even tell my parents right away. I literally went to that doctor's appointment and I was like sitting in the waiting room like, you know what? I'm just going to wait to tell my parents. They're probably just going to like take it out. And I didn't know about mastectomy. I didn't know about lumpectomy. I didn't even know, I had no idea that that's what I was about to be facing. No clue. I like, it's just funny to me in a, as existential way to realize that I had no concept of what I was about to be looking at. I was going to be like, hey, mom and dad, they found some cancer, but they're about to take it out. I'll let you know that's what I thought was going to happen. Silly. That very first day was like literally like 5 doctor's appointments shrunk into one. I met my breast surgeon that day. I met the plastic surgeon. I met my oncologist who was up at like 96th Street. My phone was dead. I had to go run into a Walgreens and buy a charger. I didn't have any money. Like it was like the worst day ever. It was so stressful. It was like, I mean, like I was definitely in the middle of New York City, like running around, like on a subway platform, like crumpled, like the best, like sad little like solo movie you could imagine. And but like at the end of it all, obviously everything worked out. But it was just such a dramatic few first days.
So they're sending you to all these different doctors on what really already is a shock, and you're going to all these different locations the day after you receive this information,
Yeah.
Jillian. That's so overwhelming.
I know. And my boyfriend at the time was a bartender, so he was asleep. Like this was all in the morning. And there was like no way of like I was not gonna reach him until way later on the day. So like I was so just in my own world. Like it was insane. And I probably honestly should have or could have called someone else. Like I know my brother was probably around or something. I think that for some reason I was just running on this crap and I was just like, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. And I just didn't even stop to think about anything until it was all done. Yeah, that's the day I also got a mammogram. I also did an MRI. That was fun. Yeah, all the stuff right away. everyone was like, well, you're too young for this. Like, this is insane. Like, that's how the doctors speak to you. It's like, cool. All right. Well, we're here. But yeah, it makes you feel a little bit like everybody's like really amped up to do it because of your age. Like, yeah, like my doctors are like ready to like beat this thing up because they, they're just so empowered by the fact that I'm so young, which is kind of, I don't know, it's just interesting. Like,
That would be such a mind trip because it's like, thank you for being in my corner, but also I'm not some like, then it makes you feel a little bit like a freak show or like
yeah,
there's
exactly.
a lot to unpack there that would make me feel sort of this otherness and also like, oh yeah, you're like really excited to do my surgery, removing part of my breasts, like that is so personal to me and my identity. Like that just sounds awful. So at what point did you tell your family? At what point did you tell anyone other than your boyfriend?
I mean, I think after that day, I knew I had to, because I think my mom knew about the biopsy. I'm pretty sure I'd given her that heads up or something along the lines. So I'm sure she was waiting for an answer type of thing. And then, yeah, I think I just like ended up sending you know what I did? Because my parents are divorced. And so, like we don't have like a group chat or anything like that with like both of the parentals. But I knew that this was going to stress me out too much. And for the first time in my life, I was very much like, I have to handle this the way I have to handle this, whether or not that's
Period.
good enough for my parents, whether or not that's going to like not, like whether or not I'm giving you enough information, whether or not I'm responding the way you think I should, da 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 da. Like I have to do what I have to do for me. So I knew that it was going to stress me out if I individually spoke to them and if I had to spell it all out both times, da 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 da. So I chose, and even being on the phone, I knew that that was going to stress me out. So I chose to like text them in a group chat text together. And I was pretty explicitly like, this is what I know. I don't have it in me to talk right now about this on the phone. Please respect that. Mom. You know what I mean? Like mostly mom. But and she did. But yeah, there was definitely a lot of that coming into me like right away of just like, if I'm gonna do anything about any of this, it's gonna have to be like what's gonna make me feel the most stable. Because right now I'm like losing my mind, like.
Yeah, and as somebody who is a little bit of a people pleaser, if I can speak on it for you,
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a really healthy boundary to set immediately, and I'm proud of you for checking in with yourself in the middle of one of hopefully the worst moments of your life. Like I don't want anything to be worse than this, obviously, but like for you to take that time and say no, this is I'm recentering and this is what I need
Mm-hmm.
pretty early on. Like what a tour de force. All right, Miss
I didn't
Thing.
know I had it in me. Yeah, I think
There
it's
she goes.
yeah.
So, how long until you did the surgery, and what does that process kind of look like?
Again, I think again because of my age, they were all about doing it as quickly as possible, and also the fact that just how big it was, all this stuff. This is when they're starting to find out, okay, there isn't a gene. I don't have BRCA. I don't have, any predisposition. I don't. It's not a family gene thing. No genetics. Did the genetic testing. I'm estrogen positive and progesterone positive, again PR and ER positive, that's what they call that. And then I was HER2 negative, which was a big deal to know. So that was the first thing that was good to know, like what kind of cancer it was in terms of it being an estrogen, like feeding off of estrogen type of cancer. So probably, like point blank, like I was going to have some estrogen blocking medication or what have you in order to like keep the estrogen at bay. The fact that I'm HER2 negative was also like a big deal in terms of knowing which path to take. It probably meant that I am less likely for a recurrence. It probably meant that I wouldn't have to do chemo. But again, chemo wasn't something we were going to know until after my surgery. So that's another thing that was holding over my head. I didn't know if I was going to have chemo yet. Big freaking question mark. This was when I was supposed to decide whether or not I wanted to have a double mastectomy, even though the cancer was only in one breast. This is when I had to know if I wanted to have just a lumpectomy, which would then require me to have radiation. So yeah, like if you don't want to have radiation, you got to get a mastectomy. If you want to keep the breasts, there as much as you can. That's a lumpectomy, but you're going to have radiation to make sure you get everything. If you want to be safe and just say sayonara, that's a double mastectomy. You know what I mean? Like, these are the things that are being asked of me to find out between October 24th and the day of my surgery, which was November 18th.
Less than a month.
A week and a half into that, they had found another thing that they wanted to biopsy. So then I had to have another biopsy, I had another mammogram, another MRI. That one came up negative, benign. That was nothing. But yeah, still in this time, even them finding a second thing, and I'm supposed to decide if I want to have a mastectomy or double mastectomy or just a lumpectomy, and they're finding a second thing already. I'm like, okay, I think I know me enough that I'm just going to go for the full double mastectomy. Because, like, if you're already finding something else now, a week into this, that's going to be the rest of my life. You saying, oh, we found something else. Oh, we found something else. So for me, I know a lot of, one of our schoolmates, her mother had breast cancer, and she gave me her email, and I was able to talk to her a little.
Oh,
and
wow. That was so nice.
And that was really nice of her. And, she had a lumpectomy. So again, and it's the thing that everyone says, is that, like, only you can make this choice. You have to decide what's best for you. Like, no one's going to judge you for it. No one's going to. And I did have a lot of pulling from my doctors. My surgeon was all about the double mastectomy, which is kind of funny. It's like, she's just saying that because she's a surgeon. She wants to get rid of it all. You know what I mean? Who knows, right? But, like, I think the oncologist department wanted me to definitely just do the lumpectomy, leave everything alone. And it's like, well, that's because you want me to come back for radiation all the time. You know what I mean? So it's like, who actually knows what? The fact that they didn't even have a shared opinion was enough for me to be like, crap. Like, I just want someone to tell me which thing to do, honestly, at this point.
Yeah, it's hard to make that decision in such a quick amount of time for a permanent stance. And for you to get conflicting opinions medically is so crazy.
Right.
How did you even pick a doctor for that, And I'm assuming it is a different surgeon than it is for the plastic surgeon. Am I right? Like, those are two separate. So how did you pick?
Granted, only a year before that is crazy to think that I was only just then kicked off my parents' insurance for the first time, So
I
it's
know 27's the worst year for this because you're just off of did you have insurance even?
I had, like, state Medicaid, for some reason in New York also, if you have breast cancer, everything's free. Like, in New York, if you have breast cancer, they're taking care of everything, no matter what, essentially. So that is a big deal.
Well, that's how it should be everywhere. That's insane that it's not, but that is so wonderful that New York does that at least.
I wouldn't have known which way is up had I not already just had all that built in. So I'm very lucky because, again, it was just so, like, over my head in general that, like, yeah, like, I didn't choose my doctors. The doctor I saw for my, like, initial gynecological exam and the topical breast exam was a gynecologist I'd seen before. And they were the ones, when they called to say I had cancer, they were the ones to be like, also, by the way, we have a referral for you to see this doctor and this doctor and this doctor. Cool? Okay. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to go see that doctor. And for me, then by that point, that doctor was like, okay, well, so I recommend you go to this oncologist and I recommend you go to this plastic surgeon. Now, this plastic surgeon's not in your insurance. So, clicky-clicky-clack. Oh, he's going to do it anyway. What? Like, oh, cool. He's beautiful. And he is so nice to me. And yeah, I've been seeing him for 5 years. I'm about to see him for my next revision.
Romantically?
Unfortunately, no. But, but I do love him a bit.
So you underwent the surgery. You've got a great support system around you that is at least just supporting you through this. And the day of your surgery is November
18th.
There's a lot of questions I could ask, but you undergo the double mastectomy. What is that like for you the day of the surgery? Emotionally, mentally, what was that like?
I mean, in a weird way, I think I was tapping into this strong persona. My mom had come into town. My brother and my boyfriend were all, like, at the hospital with me. And so for part of me, I was, like, putting on this strength, just kind of tapping into this, like, this is what I have to do. This is it. There is no other, like, wonderment. This is what I have to do. So I'm doing it. And so, like, for some reason that kind of took away a lot of, I don't know, panic at the time, at least, because the whole thing is just so bizarre. Like in the morning of, I had to do this thing that like they have to essentially dye the inside of your like lymph nodes. My parting gift to my, natural breasts, I had to like have this syringe like directly put into my nipple in like a dungeon basement level, like by myself room the morning of my, surgery, like bearing with this with the most like solemn acceptance in a way. And I don't know if that was, I look back on that now and I'm like, was that strength or was that delusion? I don't really know, but it's just, I got through it the way I got through it, and that's just how I got through it. But
Yeah, I mean, often when we're in sort of a survival situation, that will kick into overdrive. And I'm glad to
Right.
see that you got through it the best way you could, and having that strength, it's such a testament to you as a human.
Thank you.
And I'm proud of you regardless, but it's just, wow. What a tour de force.
Uh-huh.
So you underwent the plastic surgery, but how soon after the surgery?
Like the surgery happened and they put in these expanders, which are these kind of like balloon animals that are like resting dormant underneath your skin. And so the very first few, probably the first month of me healing and having nothing in there except for the expanders, and finally getting my drain tubes removed and stuff like that, so I can't feel anything up top. My plastic surgeon, the beautiful one, he would take this tube and kind of like an air pump thing, like a bike pump thing, and he would stick it into you can there's a way to find the expander down in there, and you stick air hole in there, and he'd pump them up. And so my breasts would grow every couple of weeks at my follow-up appointment until we got to the size that we thought was right. And so once we finally got to the size I was happy with, it was March like 6th or 7th of 2020 that I got my reconstruction surgery, and then the world shut down. So yay!
So you got your new tits, and then you got to, celebrate alone.
Sit on my ass.
Yeah.
I got to sit on my ass for months after that.
Look, in hindsight, that timing is good, though, at least.
I know. And, it was weird to have this idea that I thought I was going to go back out into society, like after cancer. And then that didn't really happen. Like everybody was put inside society. And then we all came out at the end when, kind of COVID was started, which actually honestly ended up being better for me, because it ended up being more just like, cool, we're all back. And I appreciate that more than it being all like the attention on me. And granted, I ended up getting my boobs bigger. I went in for another revision and I got them bigger because I was having a Dolly moment.
Love it.
And then a year went by. I was like, I'm done with that. That's too much. That hurts. My back is killing me. And they're too big. My arms, they're getting in the way of everything. Can't do anything. So I went down, and I've been this size for 2 years. And now, September 4th, I'm supposed to have hopefully one more revision, because I miss my ballerina chest. It's hard to be a dancer, I will say, in the world of having fake boobs, because they stand up right on there. It's all about the lines for me as a dancer.
Yes.
I need my lines. So I've really been struggling with their size right now. So yeah, I think I'm really excited to finally get a little bit back to this image of who I think I am and who I feel like I've become.
Oh yeah, and it's so quintessential for your identity and everything. I'm excited for you, and I'm excited we're talking to you right before you launch into actually having your hopefully final revision.
Yeah, I mean, 5 years. Here we go.
5 years. Here we go. So I love your journey, and I'm so thankful for your honesty throughout it. And I wish that we had, exponentially more time to talk about it. In terms of you as a creative, how has this affected your creativity?
It definitely has opened up a lot of chambers of, just like fear and anxiety and like all these things that as a creative person, it's built into us. I think, our fears of rejection and, how can I put my art out there without feeling like I'm, I don't know, a phony or or just not actually really tapping into like what is unique, etc. It's not even like extreme. Like I'm still, you know, pretty wimpy when it comes to a lot of artistic things that I feel like I could be braver about, but it definitely has like any little amount of like just fuck it energy and like you beat cancer energy like really plays into like how I view my art, surrendering, you know, to your art. That's kind of for me where it's led me. So, you know, there's a lot of creative like things floating around in my head still that I kind of want to somehow put onto some medium. I don't know yet about, you know, this experience, but even aside from that, there's just other things that are bubbling up that I'm really excited about creatively, that I feel like I've been gifted this, you know, laissez-faire or je ne sais quoi attitude about it, you know, and I can just rest a little easier and I don't have to push myself as hard in terms of this idea of, oh, I gotta do my art and I gotta get well known and famous and I gotta make money. And, you know, I still want to do those things and it still stresses me out to an extent. But at the same time, I also want to have a happy life that's not obsessed with the stress of making it or, you know, putting all this pressure on my art and stuff and blah, blah, blah. So
Good. Yeah, but you're still being creative too, which is a good thing to still have
yeah.
motivated within you. It didn't pressure you into this unhealthy obsession with it. You're sort of relaxed in it, which is so impressive,
Yeah,
so wonderful. That's the right place. That's when creativity can really thrive, is in that
exactly.
relaxed space. So I hope today is not only an advocate for you, but in your creativity and to propel you to continue to work on that. Because I think, you know, your voice is important and what you want to make and do is very important. And we're lucky to witness it. So thank you for being on here. And for the final bit of this, I would love to know, how often do you have to get screened from here on out? What's that trajectory look like? And what's something that you would like to leave anyone that is thinking about getting a screener? Like, what's your advocacy for that? I just want to hit it again at the end here.
Yeah. Well, so for me, I will be done with my hormonal like repression medication in January, knock on wood, hopefully. For some reason, they may or may not decide, oh, we'll leave you on that longer, in which case I'm not going to be thrilled. But so hopefully in January I will be off of this and my body will start coming back to normal. And then from there, I will probably not see my surgeons more than like a year at a time. And then my oncologist might still be at every 6 months, but it might also be pushed a little after that. I'm honestly not fully sure after the 5 year mark. I feel like there's going to be a lot of information coming at me about that. But, you know, aside from that, just knowing your body, that's the biggest thing that I could be an advocate of. Even before this, I didn't do a lot of self exams. Like I didn't really sit in the mirror once a month and get to know my body and stuff like that. But sounds weird, but it is the thing that can completely save you, because early detection is like the best way that you can save yourself. Once a month, do a self check, get your moles checked, just know what your skin looks like, know what your skin feels like. If something is off, you have to advocate for yourself. So be annoying if you have to and really push to get seen.
Period.
That.
I love you, Jillian. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
My cheap Zoom's about to kick us off. Of course it's going to kick us off.
Oh,
I
oh
love you. It
my
was so good to
God.
see you today.
Too. I know. I'm obsessed with you as always. So
Jillian, thank you so much for your advocacy today. Thank you for your open dialogue and story. And we hope that this inspires people at home to continue to advocate for their own health and to do screenings as they should. Because guess what? Health is wealth, y'all. And if anyone has a moment, you should go look her up. She looks the fuck just like Rachel McAdams. So me naming this that is a great title. And I just want props for that. Now, I want to circle back to a point that she brought up, which is my favorite moment of this. And I immediately called her after we finished the podcast and was like, girl, what? The fact that she has a crush on her plastic surgeon, you know, like a cutesy one, I'm not saying like it's over the top by any means, is so indicative of why we're friends. I mean, I literally have a crush on my GI, my gastroenterologist. I have to go and do colonoscopies every so often. Speaking of screenings, if you haven't done one, you should do one at some point soon. Yeah, so the guy that does my colonoscopies, and that's not very sexy of a career or really sexy to have done, He's been up in there, and I definitely have a crush on him, not for it, but because of this action that he does right after. He takes this very, very unsexy activity, and he makes it like The Bachelorette. He literally gives you a rose after he looks at your rosebud. I think that is just so interesting, don't you? He probably does it for everyone, but I'm only looking at myself. The hindsight is 20/20 and narrow-visioned. So thank you, Dr. Yu. We love you. You were for me. Thank you so much. He also sits like Spider-Man anytime he comes to do the, like, I'm blushing. Anytime he does the interview or talks to me, he always sits in like a Spider-Man pose. And we love a flexible man. So if you are single, Dr. Yu, I'm ready. I know you've got a great checkbook because, hello, I'm paying you hella coin for these colonoscopies. All right, everyone stay safe out there. Health is wealth. And until next time, ciao. I have an Italian book here beside me. I'm like just low-key trying to learn it, and that's the only word that I have developed. Bellissimo. Delicioso. This is me. I'm Mario.
Your paperwork.